I'm here in Center Valley, Upper Saucon Township, and I quickly want to discuss the topic with you of how to tell if your agent actually has a strategy to sell your home. So most sellers are going to ask their agent general questions such as, how long have you been in the business? How many transactions do you have? What's your commission rate? And while none of those questions should necessarily be ignored, the real question you need to ask is, what is your strategy to sell my particular house? Now, when you ask that question, it's very important to listen to their answer, because you're not listening for a general answer. If an agent starts telling you that their strategy is open houses, that their strategy is MLS exposure, that their strategy is professional photography, those are not strategies. So if that's what your agent is telling you, you need to dig deeper and ask them more questions. The truth is that all of those things that I just mentioned are very important, but it's not a strategy to get your house sold. It's actually a tool. So it's a tool that we use to get your house sold, but it's not a plan to get your house sold. So it's very important that if you're asking your agent these questions, you ask them the why behind it. So if they say their strategy is MLS exposure, okay, that's great, but that should be a given. Professional photography should be a given. And if you listen to my other videos, I go into talking about professional photography and how some agents won't even do that, which is a question you need to ask them. But that's not a strategy. It's not a marketing plan. MLS exposure, open houses, great. They're great tools to utilize, but it's not a marketing plan to get your house sold. So now you're probably wondering, well, what is a strategy to get my house sold? And the truth is, this ties back into my other videos that I've been filming if you've been watching them. The real strategy comes into play before the house hits the market. And you're probably going to get tired of hearing me say that, but it's very important, so I'm going to keep saying it. MLS exposure, open houses, professional photography, those are tools that we will use to help get your house sold. But the strategy comes into play beforehand. Now, that's going to look different for every seller. And it's going to look different for every house, because there could be two houses in the same exact neighborhood that require totally different strategies and marketing plans. And part of that's going to do with the house itself, and part of it's going to do with the seller and what your expectations are and what your time frame is. So ideally, it's nice to have maybe anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, depending on what your specific position is, to start to pre-market and pre-launch your home. And that sort of runway leading up to the actual listing going live on the MLS is where a lot of the important things are going to happen. That's going to create momentum and put you in a position where buyers are going to react to your house in a positive way before and also after it actually goes live on the market. So during that phase, and like I said, it's going to be a different length of time depending on your needs, we're going to focus heavily on digital marketing. And there is a lot to digital marketing. I'm not going to go into specific details. Like I've said in my other videos, I'm not talking about putting a post on Facebook and boosting it. That's not digital marketing. That's not what I'm talking about. But digital marketing, social media, all of that stuff is going to be very important during that time frame. And I would obviously discuss with you my specific strategies and what I do during that time frame. And then there's a few other things that obviously are going to need to be done during that time frame as well. And that period, what happens is during that window, that's where the anticipation starts to build. That's where we start to get into position, so that when your house actually hits the MLS and then feeds into sites like Zillow and Realtor.com and everything and goes live and we start taking showings, the buyers are already excited about your house and are already going to react positively to it. And of course, pricing comes into this, and also preparing the house, because you want to make sure that your house is prepared and market ready. You want your agent to take you room by room, go through everything, be thorough, make sure everything's ready to go so that you have a successful launch. So don't underestimate the importance of the window leading up to the listing going live. It is just as important, and arguably even more important, than when the listing actually does go live. So I just want you to remember the outcome of your sale is not determined by the negotiations that go on after the fact. It's actually determined by how you launch your listing in the first place. So if you're a seller in Upper Saucon Township, and even if you're not a seller, if you're just a homeowner and you want to learn more about the local market, feel free to subscribe to my channel or follow me on social media. I have a lot of videos, a lot of resources. I also have my website, nickgsellspa.com. That is an Upper Saucon resource for buyers and sellers. There's a ton of information, a ton of useful resources on there. And I also have neighborhood-specific information for both Valley Green and Sunrise Valley. So I have neighborhood sites, nickgsellsvalleygreen.com, nickgsellssunrisevalley.com. Definitely check those out. There's resources specifically for those neighborhoods as well. And I want you to just remember that the pre-launch phase of your house is very important.